Hello and welcome to GoLocal Live, the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Molly O'Brien. Welcome. It is Thursday, January 18th. We're kicking things off by helping you get organized and become more efficient in the new year. So I'm happy to welcome Kristen McRae of Organizing in Rhode Island. Kristen, hey, how are you?
Hi, Molly. How are you?
Good. It's always good. We are always glad to have you.
It's always fun to be here.
Especially on Thursday to help us kick things off. So I'm super excited about today's conversation. Last week we talked a little bit about helping people in their New Year's resolutions, in their goals, and kind of getting people back on track. So we went back to basics last week. So you kind of came up with the idea of really helping people continue on those basic skill sets. And so today we're going to talk about some projects that you can complete in about 30 minutes.
Yeah, they're simple, easy projects. Again, we want to ease you in. We don't want to stress you out and overwhelm you. So by March, you've given up. We don't want that to happen.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So this kind of goes back to those roots of decluttering. Talk to us about how decluttering is kind of the first step in that organizational process.
It's always the first step because before you can get organized, you have to declutter because you don't want to start shifting things around and moving things around that you really don't need. So the first step is to actually clear that clutter, empty everything out of that space, and start thinking about what do you want, what don't you want, and that way you can start categorizing from there because the last thing you want to do is organize stuff that you don't want, basically in a nutshell. Okay,
that's great. So let's kind of jump into this. And you said these are projects that you can either do on your own or with a family. Talk to me about that.
So you want it, some of these projects we're going to talk about today, your kids can totally get involved. I want you to get the kids involved. So often today, the parents are doing everything for the kids and they're not transferring to that skill set to the child, which is going to set them up going into their adult life. They're going to actually turn into my adult clients because they don't have that organizational skill set to run a household, so it's going to leave them overwhelmed and stressed out and anxious. So I want you to incorporate the kids into some of these projects. As we go through, you'll see that how we'll incorporate the kids, but it's so important to teach them this organizational skill set and give them the independence to take care of their own things.
Okay, so we have 12 projects that you can complete, having a tough time apparently today, complete in about 30 minutes or less. Okay, so number one, which I think is super fun. All these are super fun. 30 minutes or less for these organizational projects you can complete. Number one, shoes.
Now, 30 minutes or less. Now, if you have an entire closet dedicated to shoes, it might take you a little longer than that.
I know some people who have multiple closets.
I have clients that have, yes, it happens. But easy, quick project. Again, you'll notice the process. I'm not going to go through the process for every single one of these, but the process is going to be take everything out, declutter, categorize, itemize. But with the shoes, I want you to think about a few things. So I want you to think, are your shoes collecting dust? If you have dust on any of your shoes, then I want you to think about when the last time was you wore these pair of shoes. Are they out of style? Are the heels, you know how the heel on the bottom of a shoe, you'll start to see the metal on it? Like that's a big okay, let's throw these shoes away because you're going to kill yourself.
Or someone else.
Or someone else. So I want you to think about shoes. So what are you wearing? What aren't you wearing? What's collecting dust? What can get thrown away? What can get donated? Think about that and then think about how you want to function going forward in that space. For your kids, they all have shoes. Everybody's got shoes in the family. So do yours and then transfer the skill set to your child and say, okay, what are you wearing? What aren't you wearing? And then, believe it or not, they're going to be able to tell you what they still like and what they don't like and what doesn't fit. So a quick project, shoes.
Okay, I love this too because you mentioned those if you have heels and literally the spike is coming out of it. Or say you lose a zipper or button, whatever. Think about your shoes. I've had to make this realization because I like shoes a lot. What do you want to invest in? So if it's a pair of heels that you love that are broken, we have cobblers. We have shoe repair people here that are great in this city. So if it's a pair of shoes that you love, that you want to invest in, that will hold up, then spend the money. If not, toss them.
I agree, totally. So make that decision, but don't let them sit in your closet another 5 months before you take them to the cobbler. So put them in the car, put it on your to-do list, and then take them to the cobbler because I see that too. Like they're like, oh, I'm gonna get these fixed, but then I come back in a year and the same pair of shoes.
It's the same one. You're like, oh, interesting. Okay, number two. Hair accessories.
Oh, this is another good one. So quick project. Where are they? Are they again? Follow the process, but then think about. Are they all over your house? Are they I've seen them in kitchen drawers, in bathroom drawers, in bedrooms. You want to get them all in one place in the house because what happens is when you're rushing to go find one and you can't find it, now you're stressed out, you're overwhelmed, and you probably grab an elastic, a rubber band to tie your hair back with. So I want you to think about getting them all together in one spot in the house and then organize them there. And actually, what are you using? What's ripped? What's broken? What can you throw away? And then to incorporate the kids, again, give them their own little space. I organized a little vanity for a first grader. We organized out all her hair accessories, so now she has the independence of going to grab an elastic in the morning and doesn't have to, bother the mom with that. So she can actually grab what she needs and do her own hair or have the mom help her. But so give them their own space for these hair accessories too.
How do you feel about multiple locations? Because I find that I took your advice and I made my little station in my room. I put all my bobby pins in one place, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, but then it's like I'm downstairs. I don't want to go upstairs and do this. I'm constantly looking for hair ties. So I do leave them around the house. And then it's great. So I'm like, oh, here's one just on the floor. I needed bobby pins this morning and I found like 3 on the floor. I'm like, so convenient that they're just on the floor.
Oh, Molly.
So is it okay to have set up multiple stations? So like one for your kids, one for yourself in your bathroom or your vanity, and then maybe like a miscellaneous station if you're lucky enough to have a guest bathroom, because maybe your guests need hair ties. Like go to the dollar store and get some.
So good point. But what happens is when you say miscellaneous, that that makes me sweat. So
well, the heat did just kick off.
I know, and I'm having a hot flash. So I want you to think about hair accessories. So definitely give your kids. Some kids have their own bathrooms.
Yeah.
Give them that space for themselves. Have your own space. Now, as far as like that miscellaneous, I tend not to go towards it because I want you to be able to find something when you need it, and you're going to that bathroom second drawer to grab your elastics, and they're there, and you can go about your day. So, but the guest bath, sure, if you have guests coming over, definitely organize a little space in there. As long as these spots are contained and organized, you don't want to just come home and throw elastics in the junk drawer in the kitchen, because then think about how many things you're touching before you need to find an elastic.
Exactly.
So you can have those multiple spots where they're supposed to be bathrooms or kids' rooms and just have them organized. But as far as like picking them up off the floor, Molly.
The bobby pins fall out.
They're everywhere.
All right. Kids' games. Number 3.
All right, so incorporate your kids again on this one. So it's a quick project. Just focus on games. I'm not telling you to go downstairs and like tear apart the basement right now. I just want you to focus on games. Think about, is there a closet you can store these games in? So think about how you want to function going forward with these. Maybe the spot they're in now, they're just thrown all over the place. Maybe invest in like a cute little bookshelf where you can put these games on a bookshelf so they're contained. And again, get the kids involved. It happens so often where the kids will get involved and they'll say, I don't want this, I know I don't want this, we're not playing with it. The parents are the ones that say, oh,
I remember that game.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a memory, put it in a memorabilia bin, but if you know the kids, if they're really not going to play with it, they're not going to play with it. So get it out of the house, donate it, and if this is a good time to look at puzzles. If the puzzle pieces are missing or pieces to the games are missing, get rid of them. Just get rid of them. And a good way to contain puzzle pieces, if the puzzle pieces are there, put them in a Ziploc bag and label the puzzle. That way they're all contained in that Ziploc bag. Sometimes the boxes get ripped.
Oh, yeah. So this is a good one. It can be really quick and easy, or it can be really hard because you tend to spend a lot of money on this. Number 4, winter coats.
So this is another, the hall closet. So take a look. So go to the hall closet where they're stored, or your bedroom closet, or wherever you keep them. Just focus on coats. Go through the house and find all your winter coats. This is a time of year too where a lot of donations, like a lot of places will take donations for winter coats, so you won't feel bad about feeling guilty about keeping it because you don't know what to do with it. There's so many great, I'm not sure if that you might know, but
oh yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of good places that will take the donations. So, and aside from that, it's a great time of year to do it because what have you been wearing this season? Think about what have you been wearing, what's ripped. So just focusing on the coats, and then take your kids' coats and take them through the process too.
Okay, and yeah, definitely utilizing that donation.
Yes.
Area. Okay, sorry, I lost my place. That's good. Number 5, under the bed.
Oh.
Ooh, spooky.
So this is a good one. So right now under my bed, there's nothing. I just dusted it the other day. Like nothing under the bed. Some people have though, your kids' beds. When I've organized kids, we find water bottles, we found memorabilia, I find baseball cards, I find trash, there's so much stuff under the bed. So take a look under, and again, easy project, you're not getting overwhelmed because we're focusing on these one space at a time. Under the bed, pull everything out, look and see what's under there, what's been accumulating. Is it your kids' memorabilia under their bed? If so, when you don't have a memorabilia bin, this is the time to grab that memorabilia bin and contain all these, like, you know what I found, like those ribbons that you get now, the kids get those ribbons. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The kids don't have a spot for them, so they're throwing them under the bed. Why, I don't know, but that's where they are.
It's the new thing.
It's a new thing. So baseball cards, if the kids don't have an area to contain their baseball cards with a bin with a lid on it, this is the time to get those containers for them. So again, a small project, but you're going to find there's a lot of things that you might not have systems for. This is a great time to create those systems.
Okay. Number 6, magazines.
Oh, this is another good one. They're fun projects because, again, you're focusing on this one thing. Go around the house and see how many magazines you have. What's collecting dust? And then reevaluate. Think about how long it's taking you to read these magazines. Do you have too many coming in the house at this time? Like, they're so inexpensive now where you can get these subscriptions where they're so cheap that people are just like, yeah, send me all of them. So think about, is it time to cancel some subscriptions? How long is it taking you to read them? And then, again, if they're collecting dust in a basket in the den or in your bedroom, again, it's not going with the positive energy flowing through your house because it's collecting dust and it's stagnant energy. Think about getting rid of them. So go through your magazines. That's a fun project to do right now.
Yeah, that's super easy to do. Toss them in the recycle bin if you don't need them. Okay,
I like use them for vision boards.
Oh, yeah.
So many people doing these vision board classes now. If you want to take a vision board class or save them to give them to, you can donate them to someone that might need them. You could do that too. So if you don't want to, you feel guilty about that.
You don't need your magazines from 2014.
No.
Okay, next one, spices. Great time of year to do this because the holidays are over, so you're probably done cooking. Clean it up.
Yes, so you won't believe, so I'm doing this online challenge in the first week we did spices, and people were like, oh, I'm not going to have expired spices. You won't believe how many expired spices you're going to have if you haven't taken everything out of your spice cabinet. Quick project, everything out, and just look at those expiration dates, and if something's from like 2012, you could be like, oh my God, it's been since 2012 since I cleaned out this spice cabinet. Yeah. So you're going to be in for some surprises, but make sure you have a pen and paper handy when you're replenishing, to replenish those spices that you're throwing away. So, and Job-Lot, I think, has like dollar spices. Like
Price Right has really good spices.
Cheap spices.
Also, you can get at Farmers Market. There's a ton of businesses around here that
they make their own.
They do their own. They dry them out, so you can get local spices right here in Rhode Island.
Yes.
Too. So always check out the farmers markets for that as well.
Yeah.
I think it would be really fun to do maybe with you on any of your social media pages. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm having a hard time.
That's okay.
Social media pages, do like a spice challenge. Who has the oldest?
That's a really good idea. All right, let's do it.
I know someone who could definitely.
All right, we'll do it.
All right. Number 8, makeup.
Another good one, makeup. So quick project. Makeup expires. People don't realize that makeup does expire, and I know people who have tons of makeup in their cabinets and in their vanities, and they're not using them. They're expired. I mean, how much do you need at this point? How much makeup do you need? And what are you using? What aren't you using? And even your kids, if you're teens, they have makeup, talk to them about, getting this organized on a vanity. There's so many great containers out there that hold all this stuff that, again, in the morning, you want to grab and go. You don't want to touch 5 lipsticks before the lipstick that you need. So, quick, easy project.
Okay, number 9, your undergarment or your underwear drawer.
Yeah.
This makes so much sense to get this organized.
Yeah, because how many of you don't have drawer organizers in your underwear drawer right now, or even your bras or unmentionables, whatever you want to call it? Drawer organizers will help you keep them contained. And people will say, Kristen, I don't have time to roll up my underwear and put it in a drawer organizer. But listen, if your underwear and bras are all thrown in one drawer, you're only wearing what's on top. It's getting washed, and you're putting those back on top of that pile. So I want you to take everything out and say, oh my God, there's been stuff at the bottom of this drawer I haven't worn in years, because you're just recycling the top to wash, and it's just like a little cycle. So once you have drawer organizers, it doesn't mean you have to fold them really pretty, but as long as they're contained, that way you can see everything you have and you can pick out different things to wear.
And probably, too, if you just take everything out of the drawer, take a look at what you have, there's probably things in there that you're just not realistically going to wear anymore.
Yes, so that's where the decluttering, as you're taking out, declutter, and then you're going to see what you have left, and you might need to buy new things, or you might want to get those drawer organizers, measure the space, height, width, length, and purchase those drawer organizers.
And once you do it, then you can treat yourself to something new that goes in that drawer.
There you go.
That's what I say.
I love
Reward yourself. All right, number 10, under the bathroom sink, which is not as much fun as those other ones, but...
Yeah, that's like the under the kitchen sink kind of thing. Yeah, so you have stuff under there. What happens is, again, if you don't have bins in place, categorized and organized, what happens is you buy lotion and it gets pushed to the back. Now you're buying new stuff. The old stuff's getting pushed to the back without ever taking everything out to declutter. So take everything out and figure out what was back there. You're going to have lotions, half-empty bottles. Mm-hmm. So again, think about your kids' bathroom too, getting them in the habit of, now once it's organized, create little bins labeled with your hair products and then lotions and other things. So that way when you need something, you can find it. That's what it's all about.
You're not wasting that extra money that you always talk about.
Yeah, the money too. Yeah.
Money, time. Mm-hmm. Okay, pets.
Why not?
11, number pets.
I love our pets. And why can't they be organized?
They should be.
Right. And it's a quick project. And I know people that have pets out there have food all over the place and clothing and medications. Toys. They have just as much stuff as us sometimes. With
toys.
Oh my God, Gigi has over 100 toys. We counted last week. And I'm not decluttering them.
That's where I draw the line.
That's where I draw the line. She has a bin downstairs and a bin upstairs. But anyway, that's besides the point. So her medications are organized. We bought a little piece that has, it's just for her. It's a little rolling cart. It's got everything in it for her. So when I need something for her, you know, you can grab it when you need it. So think about their medications expire, things like that, and they grow out of their little coats. Same thing is with us. So this is a fun one for your kids too, to maybe incorporate them with give them a little bit of responsibility with the pet and see, you know, what's going on there.
And if you are decluttering your pet stuff, there are always local animal shelters and different animal rescue groups that will be happy to take donations. There are collars, leashes. If you have pillows, blankets, coats, like you were mentioning, we had that very tough cold spell. So the shelter that I volunteer at, they had coats on because the dogs still need to get some exercise. So if there's volunteers to do it. So some generous person donated a few coats. That was really welcoming to have that. So if you are decluttering and need to, you know, you want to donate some stuff, there are many rescue organizations that would be happy to take that.
Will they take treats? Do they have to be opened or
depends.
Okay.
Every place is different. Right. So give your nearest shelter a call and see what they're willing to take.
Blankets too. So if you're decluttering blankets, that's another project. Blankets, you can donate to them to the shelter too, right?
A lot of places will take a lot of things. You'd be surprised. Call ahead though.
Awesome.
Not everyone is open hours that you might think. So call ahead. Okay, number 12, desk drawer, which is one that I suggested to her, which she took off the list and added it back on. I love desk drawer organizing.
Desk drawer, so it could be anywhere. It could be the junk drawer. It could be the top drawer of your home office in the desk. It could be your desk at work. People say, oh, it's really organized. I don't need to do anything with it. This happened in a home office last week. She's like, it's fine. It's okay. It's workable. We took everything out, reorganized it, made it look really like awesome for her to grab stuff, and she threw out some stuff. And when we were done, she's like, oh my God, this is better than like it was before. So just because you think, oh, it's working, it's okay, it can be better. Just think about that as you're going through. It can be better. It always can be better.
And you can do that, say you do that once a month or once every 2 months, because say you're just trying to get clean off the top of your desk before you leave for the end of the day, stuff filters into those desk drawers, then, you know, just revamp. You get extra business cards, you get extra Post-it notes, you get extra pens, so just empty it out every now and then, and you'll feel a lot better. Sometimes you'll find things like hard discs, right?
Like
there's just,
how old are these?
There's just extra stuff in there, you're like, what is this? You never know.
Right. You never know what you're going to find. You can find money. I find a lot of money in those drawers.
Yeah, gift cards.
Gift cards, credit cards, checks, uncashed checks.
Now you really want to start.
Now you really want to go through your
this.
desk drawers.
This was a fun one. Kristen, thank you so much.
Thank you, Molly.
We'll post this as well. You can always find Kristen's articles on our website, GoLocalProv, and then, of course, all of our segments are posted there as well. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Molly.
As always. Everyone hang tight as we get ready for our next guest on GoLocal Live. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me on GoLocal Live. I'm Molly O'Brien. This is Lisa Peterson. She's one of the organizers for the Women's March Rhode Island chapter. Lisa, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We're happy to have you here today. So in 2017, the Women's March on Washington captivated people around the globe with estimates of 5 million people worldwide joining to have their voices heard. And estimates around 7,000 people joined forces together in Rhode Island for the Rhode Island event. So this year you are having an anniversary rally at the State House on Saturday starting at noon. Talk to me a little bit about what the plans are for this year's event.
Sure. So as the anniversary approached, several organizers sort of got together and said, how do we want to mark this event? What do we want to use our platform for? How do we want to kind of keep the momentum going that we built in 2017. As you mentioned, we had huge turnouts globally and locally, in addition to the 7,000 who turned out here in Providence for the sister rally. There were thousands more of us represented in Washington, D.C. at the National March. So we really wanted to capitalize on that and continue what we've seen over this past year in terms of new and newly reinvigorated activists who really have been taking more of an interest in the local issues as well as the national issues that affect all of us as humans in this country. So we saw the anniversary event as an opportunity to kind of come back together, recharge, take a look back at what we've accomplished in 2017, and really take a look at what we need to be focusing on in 2018 to continue the great work that started.
I think those are all really important points that you've just made. So you mentioned that, so coming up this Saturday will kind of be like the anniversary. You told me that not all chapters, not all organizations are doing an anniversary event. Why did you feel like it was important to hold a one-year rally?
I think, as I mentioned, there was a lot of activity in 2017. I don't know that everyone who was involved in the initial rally or event in DC knows all of the ways in which Women's March continued to work throughout 2017. There weren't always formal rallies, there wasn't always formal branding, but from the Women's March beginnings, we saw just a massive influx of participants at the State House throughout the legislative session, writing petitions, contacting legislators, supporting other local social justice organizations and participating in things like the March for Racial Justice. So we really wanted to make sure that people knew that we hadn't gone away, and that if they were still interested or if they needed some more direction as to how do I keep doing this work, that we wanted to be able to provide that to them, because again, this was such a powerful and impactful movement and showing that we had, and we want to make sure that people don't lose steam and that we can kind of put all of our efforts together to make the biggest difference.
I definitely think that not losing steam and kind of gathering off the momentum of the past year, of the accomplishments that have been made by this organization and others kind of cohesively, it does make sense and make a difference. What do you hope the mood will be like on Saturday?
Determined. I hope that we are able to both sort of look at the successes we've had and feel good about that, and use that feeling of success to say, this is why we keep doing this work. We do have a lot left to do, and it is easy to get overwhelmed in the face of what seem to be daily attacks on our brothers and sisters in this country. And I think it's really, really important to come together and say, look at what we are able to accomplish when we put our minds to it, when we put our bodies out here, when we put our voices and our votes to it. So I think that this is really going to be an opportunity for folks to get charged up again and to walk away feeling like they know what to do next. Sometimes you have a big event, you have a big rally, and everybody feels great, and they go home and they're a little bit lost and on their own. And again, there's a lot of new activists out there who really don't know how to independently say, this is what I do with this information. So we really want people to walk away feeling re-energized, committed to the work, and knowing how to do the work. So we're going to have a lot of social justice organizations both speaking and represented in our at our table organization, so folks can sign right up. If there's a particular issue that they're committed to or passionate about, they can get registered and stay in touch with those folks and continue the work that they're doing throughout the year.
So it's kind of an opportunity so people can hear more, get reinvigorated if they're interested to do so, and to find those networking groups issues that are pertinent to them that they feel strongly about, get more information, and kind of move forward, which I think is a neat opportunity because, like you said, so much happens throughout the course of a year, and then sometimes you can have that, while you do feel strongly and you do want to become involved, sometimes things can break down. So just having that chance to become reinvigorated again. You talked a little bit about how you have speakers that are going to have certain messages. What I did find interesting, you've told me this before, and then I looked over the list of speakers, which you can find on their website, and we'll provide a link to. You made a decision to not have any political speakers. Can you talk to me a little bit about that decision?
Sure, happy to. Collectively, as a group of organizers, we talked about what we wanted to do with our speaking program this year. Again, after last year's success, there was a lot of interest in people who wanted to have their voices heard, but there were a couple of considerations. One is that if we allow one politician to speak, it opens the door to have every politician want to speak, and we just would not have time, especially that gambling on January weather, which we are really fortunate, it looks like, again this year, but that was a gamble. We didn't want to have a 4-hour speaking program in 27 degrees. But we also really wanted to use this opportunity to give a platform to people whose voices are not always heard. We hear from legislators all the time. We hear from politicians. Their voices are amplified everywhere. And we wanted to be able to amplify other voices, voices from marginalized communities, who normally would not have that kind of opportunity, and we would invite our legislators and politicians to come down and hear those voices and learn from those voices and hear what Rhode Islanders think needs to be happening at our local, state, and national level in order to ensure that human rights means all humans.
I think it's interesting too, making that a conscious decision, and also it's not a political issue. This isn't a political rally at all whatsoever. So, and politics right now can be very divisive.
Correct. This is just about human rights. If you believe in human rights, then you are welcome at our rally. If you're not sure what that means, you can check out the Women's March National page for the Unity Principles. That's really those are our guiding principles, and that is where we tried to draw our speakers from, so folks could address some of those issues, but again, address them in actionable ways for 2018. So we looked at who is sort of got the expertise to speak to this type of issue, and what are we doing about it here in Rhode Island that you can get active in right away.
And I think that conscious decision does say a lot about the movement itself, and I do find that interesting. But you also mentioned that politicians are welcome to come and see what people are talking about and answer questions and provide input and walk around and that kind of thing too. So interesting to see what will come of it and who will be involved. I do remember this time last year that the rally and the march had to be postponed because the weather was like negative something degrees.
That
right?
was actually our International Women's Day rally.
Okay, that's what it
was. A follow-up. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Luckily, we got lucky both in DC and in Providence last year with the Women's March rally.
Wasn't it just brutally cold and had to reschedule, and it was just
the International Women's Day
Women's
March
Day,
was. Yeah. Yes. We were very fortunate with the original Women's March in both areas.
That's right. So this year, this event looks to be great. It looks to be great weather.
Yeah, we're looking at upper 40s. Partly cloudy, really nice day to come out. Absolutely. Get out of the house if you've been housebound because of the cold and snow.
Right.
And reconnect with folks who are also doing this work.
So let's talk a little bit about, I thought this might be, so you've been working on this for some time now. Talk to me a little bit about what you've been surprised being involved with this movement over the course of the past year.
I think the first surprise was how big this movement became and how quickly. We, as organizers, sort of got into this thinking, we're going to plan this march and rally, and then we're going to go back to our lives. And that has not happened for any of us. The momentum just couldn't be ignored, and we wanted to make sure when we got back from DC and when we packed up the Providence event that we were able to continue what we had started there. There have, of course, been challenges in that because we, as I like to say, are building the airplane while we fly it. This was something that was going to be a one-off, and now we are sort of an organization. And so we've had some learning curves, and we have really listened to criticisms of our events, our actions, our inclusivity, and really taken steps to say, hey, we hear you. We hear the most marginalized, we hear the most vulnerable, and if you don't feel welcome, please let us know how we can help. So to that end, we're really encouraging folks this year to wear Rosie the Riveter style bandanas, which are a little bit more inclusive to all women. We heard feedback that the pink hats, which were the mark of the Women's March last year, really made communities of color and trans women feel not included in that movement, and really kind of focused it on one particular aspect of human rights. So we're encouraging people to hear that kind of feedback and to say, okay, I can continue to grow, I can continue to be more intersectional, because feminism without intersectionality is not feminism. So I think we've all had our learning curves there and stepped in it as new activists, new organizers, a new organization. But I think as a group, we have been willing to do that growth and been willing to say, we hear you and here's what we're going to do about it.
And that's interesting because I kind of wanted to follow that up. What did you learn, and will there be any new changes? So I think that's fascinating because, yes, while it is a women's march, it is inclusive to the fact that people who identify as female are being included, but we also saw many other supporters from many different communities coming together. I mean, 5 billion people worldwide were involved overall in this mission, 7,000 people, like you mentioned, involved in Rhode Island. So working to support, you said, human rights.
Yeah, absolutely. And we mean all humans. So we want to make sure that all humans feel comfortable, feel safe, and feel like we are able to represent them, and that they can be a part of this movement. Because we really are all in this together, and we can't do it without one another, and we can't work for one niche area of feminism and continue to exclude all of the other ways in which it intersects with different identities.
So you mentioned that there will be, and like I said, many different topics addressed within the march and your speaker series. There'll be many different areas addressed as well. Are there key points or key things that you'll be working for come 2018, things that women can kind of jump in, platforms that need to be addressed in Rhode Island in 2018?
Absolutely. You're going to hear from some of our huddles, which were subgroups that sort of, when we came back from DC, we sort of regionalized and tried to do further community outreach and do more local action. So we're going to hear about some of the things that they've done and what they're planning for next year. We are going to have the Secretary of State's office on site to do voter registration. We believe that re-enfranchising or first-time enfranchisement of voters is critical to ensuring human rights for everybody. So we're going to try to make that as easy as possible for people. We're going to hear about some legislative efforts that are coming up in the General Assembly, including the Reproductive Health Care Act. And we're also going to be talking about how to create space and really help women of color, trans women, folks who are not normally given the opportunities to advance in things like education, legislation, business ownership. There's really going to be a lot of effort to educate and help folks gain power. I mean, that's really what this is. We need more women in power. We need more progressive women in power if we're really going to see the Women's March movement continue.
Well, I hope you'll keep us in the loop, keep us updated.
Sure, absolutely.
Let us know how things pan out. And if you're interested, of course, we will put information on our website. But the event is this Saturday, the 20th, at the State House. Everything kicks off at noon, correct?
Correct.
So head on over if you're interested. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us
Thanks
today.
for having me.
I appreciate you coming over, and of course, keep us in the loop on everything that is occurring. Please hang tight here on GoLocal Live as we get set up here for our next guest.
faster though. Lustrina.
Hey everyone, welcome to GoLocal Live from the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Molly O'Brien. Adam Lustrina joins us with Neat Donuts. Adam, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
So glad to have you here in studio. Congratulations and sort of happy birthday. Happy anniversary.
It's a late birthday, but it counts.
There we go. So Neat just celebrated its 1-year anniversary just almost about a month ago.
Yeah, December 21st.
So
just over a year.
Just over a year. So the business has grown over the past of the year. So we wanted to have you in, have a chat, and of course I wanted to eat some donuts. Because
good excuse.
That's me, right? All right, let's talk a little bit about how the business plan formed and developed. You have a couple partners. Talk to me a little bit about how you had this idea. It goes back to 2015.
It does. It's a work in progress for sure. So, I've been in the industry for a very long time. I was with 7 Stars Bakery, which is sort of like the bakery in the state.
The bakery.
Everyone's been there, right? I was there for 13 years, and 13 years is a third of my life. It was a long time. So I think I was sort of like itching to sort of do something on my own. I've been friends with Todd and Brian, who own Bolt Coffee here in the city. They've got a couple locations, and they sort of presented. Yeah, they had presented the idea to me of donuts. 2-3 years ago, donuts were sort of sweeping the nation, and at the time nobody was really doing it in the state with the exception of Alley's, but nobody really had sort of the gourmet donut. And so we started writing a business plan and doing our due diligence, and at some point you stop writing, it's like, are we really doing this? And sort of decided to sort of take the plunge. It's kind of the story.
And so talk to us a little bit about what it's been like for you. You're right downtown, just around the corner from us. It's a beautiful location. If people haven't been in, you really do need to stop by just because the space is gorgeous. Talk to us what it's been like for you to learn a little bit about taking it from that plan on paper, putting it into action, and here you are a year later. Talk to me from like day one of opening it up to just over a year later.
I thought it might be like a totally its own segment. There's obviously a lot of moving components from like, dealing with the city and permitting, and our build out was sort of a nightmare. Just dealing with the space and budgetary concerns, and it's deemed a historic site, so there's a lot of hoops to sort of jump through in that regard. So there are a lot of delays and expenses that came with that. And then all the stuff that comes with running a business, paying bills, finding vendors, hiring, staff retention, keeping customers happy, product consistency and quality and recipe development, and then just day-to-day operational stuff. So it's a lot. But we have a good team.
But you're still here.
And we're still here.
You're still here. Let's talk about the team. You say you have 22 employees. That seems like a pretty decent. And your day starts very early, which I think always when you have a schedule that's off from what people consider the regular schedule. I used to have one of those. It's always a little bit fun to talk about. You said your day starts at about 2 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock in the morning, so ensuring that freshness of these donuts.
Sure.
Talk to us a little bit about that staff and then having that schedule to ensure that you're having the best product possible.
Yeah, so it's a lot of pressure to have 22 people sort of relying on you to, provide a job in a stable work environment and one that's rewarding and that sort of thing. Again, there's a lot that goes into that, right? We start at 2 intentionally. One of the challenges in our industry, in bakeries specifically, is if we wanted to open up at 6 or 7, and there's certainly a demand for that, it would mean sort of a third shift, right? Like donuts just don't magically appear. We make everything by hand. It's a 24-hour process. So they start at 2, 3 in the morning, and the first donuts aren't really made until 5, 6 o'clock.
Wow.
And those are simpler processes like cake and old fashions, but brioche, which is a raised dough, those aren't really coming out of the fryer and proofed and ready to go until about 6:30, 7, and then we've got 15, 16 different varieties, and so you're not going to open up the door with a couple of donuts. So it's a process. So we could certainly open up at 6, but it would mean now all of a sudden we're asking people to come to work at 11, 12 o'clock, and then sort of quality of life from ownership and management. You've got calls at midnight, and it's just something that the quality of life of the staff, and for selfish reasons, it's not really worth opening up super early. So 8 o'clock sort of works for us. Again, 2 or 3 o'clock is very early, but it is sort of doable, and you sort of stay on the same life cycle as like normal humans, where you're not, again, on third shift sleeping when the sun's out. So it works for us. So again, starting a little bit later is more valuable to us from a staff, happiness level than it would be to sell a few more donuts, before 8.
I think that's very respectable as a business decision, because not everybody would make that same conclusion. So that's respectable. Talk to us a little bit about things that you've expanded upon. You mentioned that there were some things like the wholesale aspect of donuts. You didn't originally go into this business with that in mind, but it's become an integral part.
Yeah, so I think being downtown has been a really interesting exercise because, again, coming from 7 Stars, I've, used to the east side, the west side, out in Rumford, and there's sort of infinite parking. You're sort of in the heart of neighborhoods. Downtown is sort of new to me, a new experience, and it's completely different. There's a real sort of accessibility issue here, where I live in Seekonk, right? So if I wanted to drive into the city, it probably would never happen, right? I mean, I do have to do it because I work here, but, if I was on my day off, you have to drive in, find a spot, hope you don't get a ticket. Like, it's sort of a challenge. So it's been great being downtown, don't get me wrong. We've got a lot of built-in clientele, whether it's, Brown, RISD, Johnson & Wales, students, obviously all the people that work and do commerce in the city. So we do well, but, the stay-at-home mom on the east side or somebody that wants to drive in from Cranston, it's a little bit of an issue. So I guess circle back and answer your actual question. Wholesale has been sort of a surprise, as part of our business plan. We didn't even really mention that at all. But again, sort of addressing the accessibility thing, we try and get donuts to where people want them. So, we're over on Eastside Marketplace, Coffee Exchange, White Electric, both Bolt locations. So we try and get them out there, and that component of our business represents almost like 25-30%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty, I don't know if we would be here without wholesale, to be honest, having this interview.
Well, I'm glad that we are. And something else that you didn't have in that business plan, or you didn't think about, weddings, you said.
Yeah, weddings have been crazy. We have a really great manager, and our challenge for 2018 is to be a little bit more proactive with that. But I think we already have 30 or 40 weddings booked this year.
Wow.
And I think it's just because, we take a lot of pride in our product. It's sort of really unique to Rhode Island. They're beautiful donuts. They're made with care, and I think they sort of go hand in hand with weddings, right? And again, no one else is really doing this, and so not that we've cornered the market, but it's, we get calls and emails, every day, and so we're going to be participating in a bunch of wedding expos and venues and sort of kind of going after that market. That's
really neat. And people, while there are amazing types of cakes and that kind of thing, but also just people looking to do something different. We had little cookies and little desserts at our wedding. We decided not to do the cake. So whenever you can offer something different at a wedding, I always think that's a cool approach, and people are always looking for something different.
Yeah, totally. Well, and again, sort of to answer your question from a different angle, it's something that's unique and fun. And, we just sit down and do free wedding tastings that people really enjoy. You kind of go through all the flavors, and everyone pretty much says, we don't want to do cake because by the time you get to it, they cut it up, they put it on the table, and nobody ever eats it because they're on the dance floor or they're leaving. And so what people are doing is basically dessert tables, because again, they're a little bit more, easier to approach. People do it at their own time. We do a lot of wedding favors, so people grab donuts to go. So it's a little bit more interesting, I think.
Who doesn't want a donut to go?
Wedding cakes are super expensive, and so donuts are cooler in my opinion, although I'm biased, and it's cost effective as compared to a traditional wedding cake.
Donuts to go, not a bad idea. Good part of the plan. Let's talk a little bit about something else that you've incorporated into your business, that online system, which is super cool because who doesn't want to order something online these days? Talk to me about that aspect, and you do delivery too.
We do, yeah. So I think just how business is going. Nobody likes to answer the phone.
No.
Nobody likes to talk to real people.
No, I know. We're doing this interview
the next
even.
generation
What?
lacks sort of communication skills, and everyone is on their phone. And so, we have a very, state-of-the-art system. And so people can go to our website, click order here. You can, a lot of people will just say, quick 6, and we'll pick like the 6 most popular. Or you can go through and pick the exact ones that you want.
Cool.
As soon as they do that, it quite literally prints at our register, and then we pack it, and you can pick it up like 30 minutes later. We use Dash Delivery, which is another local business. We're super psyched to partner with them. I think what's really nice about them, and everyone's like doing Uber Eats, or you get some like random delivery driver who doesn't really know where they're going. Like Dash, like this is what they do. That's so cool. They know the city inside and out. They're very professional, and it's kind of cool because they do it on bikes. They're couriers. But they can, they have access to buildings and floors, like the hospital, that otherwise some other companies wouldn't really have access to. So it's just nice, again, professional. They know where they're going. They know where every street is, where every building, where every shortcut is, as opposed to maybe the guy who's doing Uber Eats and driving around aimlessly.
Yeah.
But they're great.
And keeping it local, too.
And keeping it local.
Which is something that you're trying to do with your ingredients and your products. So kind of just keeping that local frame of mind, which I think is neat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about your products as well, because you've expanded recently. This week you mentioned that, or I should say you announced that you are offering vegan donuts now 7 days a week, which is super exciting for people who want that type of donut. You had vegan a couple days a week, vegan donuts a couple days a week, but now you're doing 7 days a week. Talk to us a little bit about why you made that decision. Yeah,
so vegan and people that have gluten intolerance are sort of funny because they're the loudest, but in a good way, because they're also probably the most grateful. But it's one of those things, it's, you can't just make 2 donuts. Like, it's a dough, and it's massive. And so it's like, all right, well, we can make 50 vegan donuts, or we can make 0. And sometimes these alternative type things, it takes time to gain momentum, right? And so sometimes you start small, build it up, build the awareness, and then, it does really well now on the weekends. I think word has slowly gone out amongst that sort of crowd. So not that we sell tons, but we can do, 50, 60, 70 vegan donuts on a Saturday or Sunday. Oh, wow. And I think, what we hear a lot is, whoa, vegans have to eat 7 days a week, It's like, all right.
But
but I think we've gotten to that point where the business and awareness is there, where we can start to add days, right?
That's great.
But it's hard to make a big batch of donuts and then sell 3. Again, we may or may not be here having this interview if that was the business plan.
But we are here having this interview.
We are here because we only made it 2 days a week. And now we're making it 7 because we sort of, in my opinion, sort of came at it the right way.
That's good. And then when you have, it seems like when you have all of these types of products, you continue to expand, you continue to grow, then you can go out and offer those through wholesale. You can go out and offer those through weddings. You can continue to offer. The more you have, the more lucrative it is for your business. Absolutely. Right?
Yep.
Seems like to me. This has been super fun. Anything else you want? Oh, we do have to talk about this. So we like RI Food Fights here. Jim has come in several times. So we always have a good time with him.
Jim is a character, that's for sure. But he does a great job.
He does do a great job.
The food fight thing is great.
So the next food fight is with donuts. And I hear you are defending something special.
Well, just the title, I suppose.
Best donut, though, right?
Yeah, no, it was great. Well, we opened last December, and 2 months in, we had the food fight, so it was a very humbling award for us because those are the ones that mean the most because they're consumer picked, right? It's not maybe this award that
one person or
3 people decided in the back room that they liked the best, right? There was no bias. It's like the people voted, right? So it means a lot to us, and so we're excited to sort of have the opportunity to defend our title. And it's a really cool thing. I think last year, Jim might have to, correct this, but I want to say he sold almost 500 tickets.
Wow.
And we had about just shy of 400 come through our door. So, at that time we were very young, so it was a great opportunity for us to get new customers, people trying us for the first time. So this year might be a little bit different with some repeat customers, but we hope we get some new people through, and hopefully the return is the same, because it definitely builds excitement, and I think people get into sort of friendly competition.
Well, and I think that was the whole idea for Food Fights, is getting those new growing businesses on board and helping get more exposure. So as a new business, getting 400 new people in the door is an excellent opportunity, and then getting repeat customers back after that.
Absolutely. Well, the Food Fight thing, the whole premise is it's mutually beneficial, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're fortunate where people come in and no one really buys one donut. It's sort of become this group exercise, right? Where it's like you buy 4, you buy 6, you come in with 2 or 3 friends, you sit down and you try a little bit of everything. And same with the Food Fight. As the business, we give donuts away for free. But again, if somebody comes in, they get 1 for free, maybe buy 1 or 2, trying us for the first time, it makes sense. And I think the coupon or the challenge book that you receive is like $15, and you end up with like 40 donuts. So
not bad.
Everyone sort of wins.
I think everyone does win in that. And so that starts in February. It's a passport challenge, so you can check out our Food Fights for that. Before we have you go, Adam, do you want to just give us a quick run through of all these donuts?
Yeah, and you guys will be lucky because I'm going to leave these here for you.
Yes.
But we make 3 types of donuts. We make cake donuts, which is kind of what it sounds like. It's like a sort of a cake batter. Old fashions, which are, in our case, these 2 right here. Which is a quick dough, but it's sheeted out and punched out in rings. And then we have our brioche, which is, in our case, again, it's about a 48-hour process by the time you mise it out, scale it. We mix it and it retards overnight. And then we come in the morning, sheet it out, punch it out, rises again, fried. So it's very labor intensive for sure. But quickly running through, we sort of have our flagship vanilla glazed donuts, our bestseller. Right after that comes our brown butter, is our second bestseller. 2 old fashions. We always have a vanilla old fashioned. Currently, we have a chocolate chip old fashioned. The cakes that I brought, we have a chocolate cake and a chocolate peanut butter. We do these 2 funky ones back here, our fritters. We've got raspberry, and we're doing a spiced pear right now. And then rounding the corner, cinnamon roll, which is on the menu every day. Cranberry right now, which is going to be swapped out soon with something a little bit more seasonal as we sort of end the cranberry season. And then passion fruit, which is sort of a sleeper pick. Sort of a love-hate thing with passion fruit, but it's also a good seller of ours.
Love-hate for the people making it?
Well, it's a very, passion fruit by nature is like a very strong flavor. It's not subtle by any means. It's in the citrus sort of family, but it's very punchy. And so, some people are like, oh my God, that's amazing. And other people, it's like, that's kind of weird.
Pass.
It's like, we've got thick skin. So there's a flavor here for everyone.
You're like, you don't like it, just get another one.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Adam, it's been so fun chatting with you today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. If you're interested in learning about more or maybe checking out that Dash delivery service, super cool, super local, you can do that. We'll have a link on our website as well. Adam, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it. And thanks for the snack.
My pleasure.
We're wrapping up here on GoLocal Live. Kate Nagel takes things over starting at 4 o'clock. She's just around the corner, so hang tight for that. Thanks so much for joining us. I will see you tomorrow.